Good day, Chief here. Yeah, a week late. End of my career. Like I said, the branch manager came out the week prior to the end of July, and on July 31st, I was called into the battalion commander to say, hey, I didn't make it because commanders get they get notified a day earlier than the rest of the troops, so to speak. So he called me into his office. Now, this is the same battalion commander that gave us numerous, well, not numerous, but he gave a few briefs on promotion, mostly for the regular officers, but warrant officers show up with the regular officers for the staff stuff like that. And he was shocked, surprised, and amazed that when I told him, I said, I've been a straight 2 my whole career, never had a 1 block. I told him about the 2 officers who said that they didn't give 1 blocks to warrant officers, and he was just like, what? And I said, yeah, they both told me flat out they don't give 1 blocks to warrant officers. And he's like, I said, but I had good write-ups. Because throughout my career, you know my story of earning 1, going through WOBC. Still don't know what we did to this day. Maybe when I die and go up and talk to Rex Williams in heaven, maybe he'll find out by then. And then I can come back down here and tell you guys. But CW2 is keep your nose clean for 2 years. You make CW2. And then every 4 years is your first year out of 2 years to be promoted to the next rank. And if you don't make 3, of course, you're out. You don't make 4, you're out. And then in my case, I didn't make 5. I was out because, like I said, they got rid of that letter that said, hey, I'm not going to get promoted, but I want to stay in the Army and do my job. But they got rid of that letter, much to my surprise, because some general in Washington said that the warrant officer corps is too top-heavy. Well, just like generals and high-ranking colonels, yes, you're at the higher elements of the hierarchy of the echelons of the military because your career has led you up that path, and it's the same for us warrant officers. We get into places where we're static. Like I said, no field duty here. Yes, we did TDYs, but those were 4 or 5 soldiers at a time, and then occasionally an officer. And like I said, I got to go on 1 exercise to Kazakhstan. But, and like I said, there were 10 of us. And probably within a year, there was probably about 3 of them. So I got to do ACAP. ACAP is a bunch of classes that you have to take to transition you from the military life to the civilian life. Now, me being a military brat, my dad was in the Navy. I can't really say I've ever been a civilian. Yes, I was civilian briefly for a few years when I didn't have an identification card because I was too old and out of school and didn't get one until I joined the military again, but I really never have considered myself a civilian. And still don't consider myself a civilian. Former military. That's what I say all the time. Lost track of what I was talking about. Oh, ACAP. So, went through that bunch of classes. They taught us how to look for jobs, how to make a resume of our military experience, because they brought us material where we could say that if we held this position, we had some management, we held this position, we had some clerical skills and stuff like that. So it was really interesting to see what transitions, because they do spend a lot of money on training us to do these certain jobs, like supposedly me becoming a military intelligence person, even though I only went to school, but in 2 different MOSs. I went to school less than a year, so to speak, between the 2 schools. My schooling was still like way up there, like $50,000 to train me to teach. Of course, that's getting back to civilian contractors who are teaching these courses. Of course, it costs that much. So we had fun. I mean, it was all ranks. We had broken soldiers, ones that were getting medically discharged. We had a few officers who had reached their point of their career where they said, bye-bye, I've had enough. I want to take my skills and go elsewhere. But unfortunately, there was none of those wobbly ones who came in while I was at Fort Lewis that 20 years in a wake-up. Now, another one of my fellow officers there, he was logistics, and he did not make 3, but he was at the condition as to where he could stay in and at least get out at 20, because they had criteria for people that did not make their 20 yet, that if you were like 17 plus years, you could stay in additional 3, knowing you're not going to get promoted, and you could at least do your 20 and get out rather than kick you out at 17. Now, like I said, I did see that happen, because a CW2 in Hawaii, he did not make 3, and he concluded the only reason he didn't make 3 was because he did not have a college education at that time. Yes, your schooling does coincide with your ranks, because a lot of officers, if they hadn't gone to college and ROTC, they of course pursue their civilian education so they could stay in, because that is tied to being promoted. Like I said, the captain at my first duty assignment was like, well, how come you're not going for your master's? I wasn't pursuing my education, according to him, even though I had 2 degrees. So there was about 20 of us that were transitioning out at the end of the year, and we were having all kinds of fun, and of course it was taught by civilians. And we actually had some homework in that class, which was really amazing. We had to do certain things, but some of us, somebody made the statement about, well, it's like we're being fired even though we're being let go, and then the instructor turned that around and said, well, in a way, aren't you being laid off because you are being told that you have to get out? And I looked at her and I said, no. I said, I don't consider it being laid off. It's just that, hey, I'm not being fired, because that was my attitude, the higher rank I got. I still can't find my ACU hats. I've looked high and low. I should have 2 of them, because I wore these over in Kazakhstan. No, I didn't trade them away for stuff. So I can't find them. I even looked in my war chest. So I'm quite surprised I can't find them. I can find my CW2 beret, I can find my CW3 beret, and I can find my CW4 beret, because I bought a new beret every time I went up a rank. So that way I didn't wear it out like some soldiers would wear them until they got holes in them, and then you got holes in your hat or your beret. Because once you get that thing form-fitted to your head, you don't want to break in a new one all the time. So ACAP was fun, and you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to start ACAP 6 months before your termination date, which is the end of the year for me, so I already lost a month, and I even took a month's leave. I had so much leave saved up, I sold 2 months back, because you could hold up to 60 days or 90 days. I sold 2. I took a month of 30. I think you could hold almost 90 days of leave. I didn't have 90, but I sold 2 months, took a month of leave, and I actually took all of, maybe I did have 90, because I took all of December off and 4 or 5 days of November as my terminal leave. So, yeah. And I caused a headache because we were told don't turn in your CAC card, because I had the CAC card, until you're done with your military business. Of course, I wasn't staying in Georgia. I came back here to Fort Sam Houston, so I had to take care of some business. So I had to go to the library in order to get a military computer to log on so I could check Army Knowledge Online, which is your ACAO account, because everything was tied to that. Some of your records were tied to that. And you had to take care of some of the business and tie up some loose ends, so to speak. So I think because I retired 31st of December, end of the year, and then I think I got my CAC card in February, and the person there was like, "Why did you wait so long?" I said I had to make sure that I had everything taken care of Army, my AKO account, because they were getting rid of non-active duty people on AKO. I guess they got saturated because when they first came up with it, you could have your family members on it, your immediate family members on it. You could get them an account, but they didn't need a CAC card. So when I retired, they did away with all the family members, and you needed a CAC card to log on to AKO. Someone told me it's no longer functional. I don't know. Not really concerned. I had emails, so I shipped a lot of my emails to my personal. I had some records that I shipped and since have gone through and got rid of them. Had a party. I'll talk about that next week. My retirement ceremony. I'll talk about my retirement ceremony next week, because I've already seen I've rambled along enough today. So that is it. I did 28 years. Wanted to do 30. And I thought you had to retire on your even years, but then part of the ACAC was no. They have a formula, works it all out. So, because 30 years is 75% of your salary, I ended up with 72 point something, I think, since I went over 28, which was nice. That's why I haven't worked. So, yeah, I'm a little bit sad to talk about this. Still miss it, just like my father. He retired from the Navy. He missed it years later, down the road. Years. And I talked to a lot of guys that got out because they got contract jobs, and they said, I shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. Some of them got out before they made 4. They knew they would have made 4, but they said, nope, I got out as a 3 because I got a contract job. And when I made 4 and met with some of these people, because I was here in San Antonio and I came back again, so during that second tour here, I met a lot of guys that I worked with at my first tour here, and they all, like I said, one of them said he got a contract job. He says, you know how hard it is to look like you're busy 8 hours a day? He said it's really hard because he said there's really not that much work. But I got hired anyway. So, Chief out. Army's birthday is here in June. Flag Day also. So, freedom's not free. You know what to do with veterans. Chief out.